I left my family back home. In my education, I was supposed to go use my GI Bill, everything, my friends, my country. I have a daughter back home. It's been about 7 years since I've been out of my daughter's life.
Hector Barajas is a foreign-born U.S. Army vet who served from 1995 to 2001. Today, he's in Tijuana, in his native country of Mexico, but not by choice.
I was deported in 2004 and then in 2010.
Hector is one of hundreds of legal permanent resident veterans who honorably served in the military, but never received the citizenship they were promised if they fulfilled their military commitment. Although they completed the required time, Hector and many like him say the military didn't hold up their end of the bargain.
Many of the veterans believed as soon as they took the military oath of office that they had become citizens, or many of them were led to believe that their naturalization paperwork had been submitted by their superior officers or their recruiter. In a lot of cases, it didn't happen, and the information and the assistance that should have been provided to these individuals wasn't conveyed.
But when these vets get convicted of an aggravated felony, in Hector's case, shooting into an occupied vehicle, they get deported.
When I got out of the military, I had problems with alcohol and some issues with drugs, and I was in a vehicle where there was somebody fired a weapon, and basically I went to prison for 3 years for that.
In 2014, a memo signed by Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson solidified the government's discretion in cases involving people with military service. According to a statement from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the agency, quote, respects the service and sacrifice of those in military service, and exercises prosecutorial discretion for members of the armed forces who have honorably served our country on a case-by-case basis. ICE specifically identifies service in the U.S. military as a positive factor that should be considered. Still, applicable law requires ICE to mandatorily detain and process for removal individuals who have been convicted of aggravated felonies.
I had no idea people could be deported, so I feel that there's a failure on my part, but also the military, because they never counseled me.
After Hector was removed a second time for re-entering the country without authorization, he opened the Deported Veterans Support House in Tijuana, or the bunker.
When I started the bunker, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was getting into.
The shelter has become a resource center for deported vets from at least 34 different countries. And thanks to its work with the American Civil Liberties Union, the group is helping deported servicemen find pro bono attorneys and get them access to the health benefits promised to them by the VA.
My name is Enrique Salas. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran. I served from 1988 to 1992. I was involved with Desert Storm.
Enrique is one of the 239 deported servicemen who have been in touch with the bunker.
Sometime later, after I got out of active service, actually about 10 years later, got in trouble with the law, a little bit.
After being convicted of possessing a controlled substance for sale, Enrique served 6 months in jail before being released back into the States. And then this.
I came down and got my wallet stolen out of my car. I tried to go back. I reapplied for a resident alien card at the time, and they ran my background check, and that's when they found out I had the felony from 2 years prior.
He re-entered the U.S. without authorization, but after receiving a traffic infraction in 2014, Immigration and Customs Enforcement came knocking on his door.
And deported me.
He's been living in Tijuana ever since. While Enrique says he has a good job and a family close enough that can visit him once a month, not everyone is so lucky.
What do? Well, just kill time and go to church. I take care of my business.
Andy De Leon is a Vietnam War vet who served from 1967 to 1969. After being convicted for possession of drugs, Andy was deported to Tijuana at the age of 65. He's rarely seen his family since.
I have about 1,000 grandkids. I don't see none of them. I want to see pictures if they see me, but in person I haven't seen any of them. I wish I could see them and hug them and tell them how much I love them and stuff, but it's one of those things that can be where.
And we could change this tomorrow. My law is already there. It's proposed. They could schedule it for a vote. So who do you blame? You have to blame the people that are in government right now and don't want to pass it.
Congressman Juan Vargas and American-born vet Nathan Fletcher are part of the honorably discharged, dishonorably deported coalition.
Even if we can't agree on a broader comprehensive immigration reform today, maybe we could agree on this.
If passed, their bill would track immigrant vets who are eligible for citizenship, allow vets to temporarily re-enter the U.S. to seek care from the VA, and it would ensure that non-citizen service members are well informed on their naturalization options.
This law could be changed tomorrow, so we don't put these people in what we call double jeopardy.
But members of Congress aren't the only ones who are not on board. In an interview with the LA Times, Ira Melman, spokesman at the Federation for American Immigration Reform, said, quote,
"Just because you have served in the military doesn't mean you're exempt from the consequences of subsequent actions. This is not a case of double jeopardy. You pay your debt to society for whatever offense you may have committed."
22 veterans commit suicide every day because of the military service. So for somebody to say that your military service does not play a part in your decision-making and what happens to you after you get out of the military is bogus. It's just some people go back to different environments, they cope differently. It's not an excuse. Yeah, we paid our debt to society. We're not asking a get-out-of-jail card, but I think we should be allowed to return to our country.
Hector may be able to do just that. He had a citizenship interview in November and is expecting an answer in a few months.
Courts have construed various crimes differently so that they are no longer considered an aggravated felony under the relevant laws. That allows us to come back and say, this individual is entitled to naturalization as a U.S. citizen.
Well, regardless of what happens, we can appeal if we have to. I feel positive, but anything can happen.
Cases of deported veterans gaining citizenship are rare. Only one of Hector's fellow bunkies has managed to make his way back to the U.S. And then there's this.
There is a way for Hector and all of his brothers down there to come home. They just have to die. Because once they die, we will bring them across the border. We will bury them in a military funeral. We will fold the flag and we will play taps and we will honor them with full military honors.
People need to support our veterans. It should be more than a sticker on the back of your truck and more than a slogan, supporting the troops, honoring our veterans. There's no honoring in letting veterans return when they die. You should honor them by taking care of them while they're alive and making sure that their health care is taken care of and that their families are taken care of.
I'm living on hope. I get up every morning hoping for the best, expecting the worst. I want to go back because this is my country, you know, United States.
I'm Flavia Casas in Tijuana, Mexico, and this is Fusion.